Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Caskey, and today I'm going to read you a book called Our Librarian Won't Tell Us Anything. I love this book. This book is written by Tony Buzzeo. I love that name, Buzzeo. Isn't that cool? And the illustrations are by Sashiko Yoshikawa. Remember, the illustrations are the drawings in the book. Let's get started. Our librarian won't tell us anything. Dun, dun, dun. That's me, our librarian. Does that even look like me? Oh my goodness. I hope not. If you said yes, I'm a little offended. On my very first day at Liberty Elementary, Mr. Dickinson sent me down to the Library Media Center. "Bring back a couple of books you'll enjoy, Robert." You bet. I hurried down the hall after Carmen Rosa Pena, who wasn't about to wait for me to catch up. Through the double glass doors, I could see the story alcove, the animal skeleton collection, 12 student computers with swivel chairs, and thousands of books. Everywhere, kids were reading on beanbag chairs, typing at computers, or standing in the checkout line. More kids crowded around a tall blonde woman holding a video camera. Her tarantula earrings dangled below her rhinestone glasses. If you know me at all, you know that I will never be wearing tarantula earrings. First of all, because I don't wear earrings. And second of all, I'm not a huge fan of tarantulas. Carmen was halfway across the room when I skidded to a stop in front of her. "What do you like to read?" "Soccer books and Sports Illustrated for kids," she said. "Why do you care?" "Oh, I wondered if you knew where the animal books are." "Not a chance." "Well, that's okay. I'll ask the librarian," I said. "Mrs. Skorupski?" Carmen rolled her eyes. "Don't even bother. Our librarian won't tell us anything." She charged off to the shelf under the Christine Lilly poster. And there's Mrs. Skorupski in the background. What? Librarians help people. Like police, but without the trouble. I marched over to the crowd surrounding Mrs. Skorupski, and I waited my turn. She finally glanced at me over her sparkling glasses. "New to school?" "Yep, Mr. Dickinson's class." "Great!" She stuck out her hand. "I love fourth graders. What do you like to read?" Ha! Carmen was wrong. "Got any animal books?" "Annie, we've got so many animal books. Mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish. I could lock you in here for a year, and you'd still be reading. Well, if you didn't starve first." "Awesome," I said. "Mammals, please. Where are they?" "Follow me." She marched off across the room. Now, I hope you're thinking, okay, the title of this book is Our Librarian Won't Tell Us Anything. I was so busy gloating in my mind that I smacked right into Mrs. Skorupski when she stopped at the first bank of computers. "Have a seat." She swiveled a chair and gave me a gentle push onto the cushion. "Wait!" I bounced up. Cool earrings, but not much of a memory. "You were taking me to the mammal books." She twirled the chair again and pointed. "Sit." Her tarantulas bobbed near my cheek. She pointed to an icon on the screen. "Click the online catalog and type in MAMMALS into the subject search box." Just then, Carmen poked my ribs and hissed in my ear. "See? I told you she wouldn't tell you anything." Mrs. Skorupski just smiled. There are her tarantula earrings. They're kind of scary. I clicked search and got a long list of books. I chose a few titles and I read more about them, and then I wrote down the call number and the title of the book I wanted on the catalog slip she handed me. "Okily dokily," she said at last. "Now use the shelf labels to find them." Mrs. Skorupski? I asked you to show me where they are." She smiled. "You certainly did." Do you see her facial expression? I think she's winking. I want to insert an evil laugh right there, but I won't. I headed back to class with a stack of books, one on the duck-billed platypus, one on lesser bush babies, and one from the display shelves on naked mole rats. Whenever I used the catalog to find books after that, Mrs. Skorupski said I was a library success story. Who knew what she meant by that? When Mr. Dickinson announced desert animal research in predator-prey teams, I knew just the animal for me. Mr. Dickinson told us that Mrs. Skorupski was scheduled to give us 100% of her attention for our library research on Thursday afternoon. "Ha," said Carmen Rosa Pena, "she won't tell us anything." "That's enough, Carmen," Mr. Dickinson said. We each started by taking notes on the predators of 10 desert animals of our choice. When we finished, we joined predator-prey pairs. "I'll be a predator," Carmen said. Big surprise, I thought. When I reported that poisonous rufous-beaked snakes eat naked mole rats, she signed on to be my partner. Oh, joy. Mr. Dickinson and Mrs. Skorupski handed out a source of criteria sheet. Criteria are kind of like rules or guidelines, if you will. I wrote down our names on the sheet and I hopped up from my chair. "Where are you going?" Carmen said. "Since I've read my naked mole rat book 3 times and I have animal encyclopedias at home, I only need an online article." "Well, don't bother asking Mrs. Skorupski. She won't tell you anything." I just shrugged and walked over to a computer. She swiveled the chair. "Sit!" and closed the catalog. "The big blue E will open the kids' search engine." We don't use the big blue E, we use Google. It's Google Chrome. I typed NAKEDMOLERATS in the search box, and up popped a list of links. I clicked on each one to see the article. "Okily dokily," she said. "Now, which article has the most interesting facts? Print that one." "Didn't I ask you to find me a good article?" Mrs. Skorupski smiled. "Yes, you certainly did." Again with the wink. What do you notice about her earrings? Those don't look like tarantulas to me. It's because it's a different day. Different day, different earrings. Back in class, I shared my printout with Mr. Dickinson. I also tucked a poisonous rufous-beaked snake article into Carmen's desk, but I didn't tell her who it came from. Each time I helped my classmates after that, with the catalog, at the nonfiction shelves, or even online, Mrs. Skorupski said I was a library success story. Who knew what she meant by that? When Mr. Dickinson assigned a desert animal multimedia product, Carmen Rosa Pena and I finally had a huge fight. "It's not fair. I missed the multimedia production lessons last fall," Carmen said. "No problem," I said. "Since I hadn't even moved here yet, Mrs. Skorupski will definitely help us." "Are you crazy?" Carmen shouted. "I told you, she never tells us anything." "Well, she may not tell you anything," I yelled, "but she always helps me." There he is walking over to the computer. By the time I got to the Library Media Center, Carmen was already there, taking notes on the poisonous rufous-beaked snake again. Carmen looked up. "Oh, look, it's Mr. Library's success story. Don't tell me your research isn't done." I sniffed. "I'm here to ask Mrs. Skorupski something." "Don't even bother." I didn't wait for her to finish what she was going to say as I stomped off to the computers holding our multimedia product format sheet. I typed multimedia into the search engine. I groaned when I saw the enormous list of links. Mrs. Skorupski screeched to a halt behind me. "What's up, Robert?" "Will you help me choose a multimedia product?" When he's saying multimedia product, he means tool, like, a digital tool. "Sure, come with me, and bring Carmen along too." "Do I have to?" Mrs. Skorupski just patted my shoulder. Carmen scowled when I tapped her on the arm, but she followed Mrs. Skorupski and me to the media lab. Ah, look at those earrings. Mrs. Skorupski connected the data projector to her laptop and dimmed the lights. Then she grabbed 2 DVDs and a CD from the shelves. "Oakley dokley," her eyes sparkled in the dark room. "Let's view some student samples of each product and you two can decide." "Hey, that's a great way to choose," I said. Mrs. Skorupski just smiled and said, "Yes, it certainly is." By the time Carmen and I headed back to class, her grumpy mood had dissolved into excitement about making a claymation film. Carmen said poisonous rufous-beaked snakes would be easy to make out of clay, like pretzel rods, but without the salt. And she even scheduled us to meet with Mrs. Skorupski the next day so we could begin filming. They looked pretty happy. Last week, when Allison Chen moved to Liberty School, Mr. Dickinson sent her down to the Library Media Center with me. Mrs. Skorupski tells me... Oh, sorry, wrong voice, huh? "Mrs. Skorupski tells me Robert is a library success story," Mr. Dickinson said. "Who knows what she means by that?" I said as I walked down the hall with my new friend Allison. "You're going to love Mrs. Skorupski, our librarian. She can teach you anything." I love that story, and I love the librarian, Mrs. Skorupski. The point of this story, and just in case you didn't pick up on it, guys, the point of this story is I'm not going to give you answers. A good librarian doesn't give you the answers. A good librarian shows you how to find the answers. That's what this whole year is about, helping you find answers. I hope you enjoyed this book. Our librarian won't tell us anything.